You're listening to Mr. Credit on San Diego 1700 with local credit expert Derek Evans. Now, live in studio, Mr. Credit.
Welcome to Mr. Credit. We are live and local here in San Diego, bringing you the most important hour in radio. We're telling you everything they don't want you to know. When we say they, we're talking about the government. We're talking about the big banks, especially today, and the credit bureaus, of course, the media, the Wall Street gangsters, or anybody else who's trying to take your hard-earned money out of your wallet or cause you to spend it unwisely. Visit MrCreditRadio.com if you want to send me an email. I'll try to read those at least once a week. I'll respond to you immediately, but I'll try to read them on the air once a week, and do a Facebook search for Mr. Credit, and you will find me there. Now, of course, here on San Diego 1700, we host all of the Padres broadcasts, and we're playing the Dodgers right now. An unfortunate loss last night to our arch rival, the Dodgers, who we don't like on the show at all. But in losing 2-0, I'm going to predict, since my prediction yesterday of the sweep of the series is now dead in the water, I'm going to say that we win big tonight, 7 p.m., right here on San Diego 1700. If you can't make it downtown to catch the game, then you got to listen. Save this station in your dial, San Diego 1700. We have all of the Padres broadcasts right here. You don't need to go anywhere. Today is Wednesday. We call it Bankruptcy Wednesday, or what I call is Debt Relief Options Wednesday, where we go through and we look at the different things that are out there that are available to you, the things that are happening to people right now, things that you need to know about what you should do, and of course, what you shouldn't do, which is sometimes even more important. In the studio with me, my good friend and the best bankruptcy attorney in Southern California, William McDonald with the McDonald Legal Group. William, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Mr. Credit. Glad to be here.
Yes, I'm going to give you a little drawn-out applause here.
Appreciate that.
And, you know, the reason I bring you guys William is because he cares about people the same way I do, a big consumer advocate. And when you have someone who is an attorney who actually cares about people, that's a very rare combination. Trust me, I've dealt with dozens of them. And especially in this arena, because there are instances where, you know, filing for bankruptcy is something that people should do. There are instances where filing for bankruptcy is something that people should not do. And I know that William will advise you accordingly based on your scenario. I want to get out right off the bat, in case you're already in a situation where you're considering something like this. Let me give the number, 858-437-0103 to schedule a free consultation with William, 858-437-0103. I want to jump to a story, William, which I think is interesting because this really embodies the whole idea. Now, people know that I like Chapter 7 bankruptcy for a lot of reasons. It's quick, gets rid of all your debts, the fresh start, the new beginning. It gives you a chance to actually start over, get things going for yourself financially, but it also causes your credit score to go much higher in most cases. Now, in the case that that's not a factor, the credit score, like with CIT, which was a big commercial lender who filed for bankruptcy, the story headline here is back from bankruptcy, CIT posts a quarterly profit. Now, before I get into the story, I want you to understand the concept of why I'm bringing this up. CIT filed for bankruptcy because it was bad time. Mm-hmm. They were having hard times, and they needed to get a fresh start. They got their fresh start, and now they're posting a profit. They're profitable again, and this is exactly what can happen to any consumer out there who uses the bankruptcy laws to their advantage. And I'm sure this is something that you see every day.
Absolutely. I see it all the time, especially, like you said, in the Chapter 7, where people can get a fresh start and get rid of that unsecured credit card debt that's been dragging them down, and they can never get ahead because they're in that cycle of just paying, on those credit cards at 30% interest. And because of that, they can't save, they can't put in their 401k. So by filing a Chapter 7 and getting a fresh start, you wipe out all that debt, and you can start over and start saving money for the future. Just, it's similar to what CIT is doing now. Now they're profitable again.
Yeah, and that's really an amazing story because, if you talk about a commercial lender during this calamity in real estate and finance world, being able to use the bankruptcy law to their advantage to actually get back to the point where they're profitable, to keep all those jobs with all those people. And I'm going to read that story in a second, but what you just said was something that reminded me of a story. For some reason, I always get these flashbacks to my Sears security days whenever you're in the studio. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's the presence of attorney, I don't know. But, I had a significant amount of training with Sears on interrogation and interview techniques. We did a lot of things internally as far as asset protection is concerned, and we caught a lot of criminals trying to steal stuff. And one of the stories that I remembered recently that just popped back into my head was people always had an excuse for why they would take something, whether it was an employee or whether it was just a customer. And one of the people who we caught stealing a few things, she had a few $100s worth of stuff. And one of the things she said was, hey, I've had my Sears card for 10 years, and I've been paying like 30-some% interest on it. I feel like you guys owe me. I feel like, I to be honest with you, and this was part of our training, was how to get these answers out of people. And she said, I feel like you owe me. I feel like I've paid you so much money in interest that I'm owed this. I'm owed some sort of rebate.
She wanted some Sears points.
Yeah, she wants some cashback rewards. Now, I make light of that because obviously, shoplifting is a serious deal and something that people shouldn't do. But at the same time, it's a relatively, it's not a violent crime or anything like that. It's something that people make mistakes, And in her case, she was thinking that. Now, what I would have told her at that time, had I been as educated as I am now, and if I'd been as educated as our audience is now that they listen to the show, I would have said, look, hey, you don't have to steal anything. You can file Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Yep.
If times are so tough that you're in here, stealing, she had all kinds of stuff. It was essential stuff. It wasn't like, it was coats for winter. It was laundry detergent stuff, type thing. She had a ton of stuff. Using a stroller was a common thing. And, I would have just said, look, if times are tough, you need to consider your Chapter 7 bankruptcy options. You don't have to steal, guys. You don't have to do stuff that's not becoming to you and what your personality is and what your values are. Filing for bankruptcy is a business decision. It has nothing to do with your ethics or your morals. If you go out there and you're borrowing money from people that you can't pay back, or you're asking family members for money and things like that, that type of stuff isn't really necessary. Think about all the things that you can eliminate in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Let's list them: collections, medical bills, all credit card debt, right? Unsecured debts such as loans like personal loans from a bank or signature loans.
Lines of credit, signature loans, yeah.
Lines of credit. If you have, how does a home equity line work?
A home equity line, the way that works is you'll have to keep making payments on that in a Chapter 7 if you want to keep your home. But I'm right now discharging a lot of home equity lines where somebody is, they've already gone through a foreclosure, and now the home equity line is coming after them for, let's say, $80,000. Mm-hmm. So they find out about that, and they need to file Chapter 7 to get rid of that.
Okay,
so
good point.
Once the collateral is gone, they're what we call the sold out junior. When the senior lien holder goes to foreclosure, the second is wiped out. So now the only remedy for that bank is to actually pursue you personally, and that's wiped out in the bankruptcy.
And they try to basically sue you. They
Exactly.
come after you and sue you for the money in an attempt to garnish your wages. So there's
Right.
another thing that can be removed. So we're talking about credit card debt, collections, medical bills, personal loans, signature loans, unsecured debts like that.
Deficiency balances on repossessed vehicles.
Deficiency balances on repossessed vehicles, which turn into collections, which smash your credit score significantly. Judgments that might be causing you to garnish your wages, things like that, as long as there's no fraud involved, and
Yep.
a couple other little
Most
things.
judgments will be dischargeable. Some taxes, if they're older taxes and you filed your taxes and they're more than 3 years old and they've been assessed more than 120 days ago, those most taxes can be discharged if they're older.
And when we say discharged, we mean eliminated, gone.
Right.
See
Wiped
ya.
out.
You'll never see it again. It's gone
Right.
forever. And in being able to do that, there's a couple of things that are important to understand. In the Chapter 7, you're only in bankruptcy for about 90 to 100 days. It's not something that drags on forever and ever. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be in this thing for 10 years. No, it can report to your credit for 10 years. It doesn't always. In most cases, it won't. But it really only affects you from a credit perspective for the first couple of years. Now, the reason that I like Chapter 7 is because the small amount of damage that bankruptcy public record actually does to your credit, it negates so much other negative information. All those collections that you might have, late payments on credit cards that are being discharged, any medical bills that are showing on there as Class 9 items. any of those things like you were talking about, deficiency balances from repossessed vehicles, deficiency balances from repossessed homes, anything like that, the other judgments that might be on there for wage garnishments or other reasons, all those things get mooted. They get negated. The negative information gets set to the side and consolidated in the bankruptcy, and that's what causes your credit score to go higher. And that's why I like it so much. Mr. Credit likes it. So if you can get rid of all of your debt, that other than the things that you most likely want to keep, such as your cars and your home, which is something that Chapter 7 you don't have to deal with at all,